Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here, and we have a new Fragment Fusion event going on in Raid Shadow Legend for Kroz Wallbreaker. So let's take a look at this event and what does it take to make Kroz yours. First, thank you Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video and for giving me this wonderful promo link to Raid down below in the description there in the QR code. A new account with Deacon Armstrong tutorial, Uugo at 15, Tagoar at 20, Mausoleum Mage at 30, the best possible start to Raid. And this Kroz Wallbreaker Fusion event starts November 20, ends on December 3rd, so a 2-week event. It is a fragment fusion, so you will collect fragments from various events, and then you will use 100 fragments to summon Kroz. There are 130 fragments available overall, but 20 of those are from tournament finishes, so you can only miss 10 fragments overall unless you finish number 1 or number 2 in specific tournaments, which you probably won't. That is very, very unlikely. Usually in these fragment fusions, Plarium will offer fragments for real money. If you get at least 50 during the event, they will then send you an offer for the package of the other fragments at $2 or around 2.4 euros per missing fragment. The fragments themselves do not expire, so if you gather 100 fragments, you don't have to summon Kroz immediately. You can also summon Kroz during a champion chase or a CVC, so that you will also get points from him. And if you're a newer player, note that all other events scale based on account level, so it will be easier to complete all the other events in this for a newer player than for an older player, except for Summon Rush and Champion Chase, the ones that require shards. And both of those will also offer 5 plus 10 fragments, so you need full completion of one and partial completion of other, and that's typically what's preventing new players from completing the full fusion. And the fragment event calendar looks like this: 130 fragments available overall. So champion training tournament, that's ongoing right now, and then the champion chase tournament at the end. Those have the bonus fragments for number 1 or number 2 finish, but you're very unlikely to catch those. And other than that, you can only afford to miss 10, so you have to do almost all of this stuff. So let's dig into the details. The Summon Rush that just started, this is the trickiest part of the fusion perhaps. You don't know how good the X2 events for the Champion Chase are going to be. Champion Chase is during Black Friday though, so there should be some pretty sweet X2 events. Champion Chase points are probably quite easy to get, but we don't know for sure. Whereas Summon Rush, well, only champions from shards count, and the only thing that matters is the shard type that you summon, not the end result. So you need 4.1 sacreds to get 5 fragments, and then you would need 6.4 sacreds to get the full 15 fragments from this Summon Rush. This fusion event is somewhat energy intensive. We have the first Gear Hunters event, the renamed Dungeon Divers, going on right now, and it only overlaps the Fire Night tournament. So that's quite an energy intensive start, because usually what would happen would be that the Gear Hunters would overlap 2 dungeon tournaments, and completing those 2 dungeon tournaments would get you like 90-95% of the way to completing the Gear Hunters. Then you just need to do a little bit extra and the Gear Hunters is done. But now with just one dungeon tournament, that means that you only get less than halfway through the Gear Hunters. You can do champion training. If you do champion training in, let's say, Brutal 12-3, then that would add around plus 50% to the energy cost compared to just running normal 20. Of course, you can also train some champions running normal 20, but that's quite ineffective for a champion training. So there is the champion training overlap, but the lack of dungeon tournament overlaps means that you will need to spend a whole bunch of energy for these Gear Hunters. And it doesn't get better for Gear Hunters too, because this one only overlaps Dragon. Again, it also overlaps some champion training, so the same dilemma. And this is rare. Usually you would have maybe one Gear Hunters event that only overlaps 1 dungeon tournament, but this time we have 2 of these. Whereas the final Gear Hunters 3 does overlap both the Ice Golem tournament and the Spider tournament, so that's business as usual. You do Ice Golem tournament and Spider tournament during the Gear Hunters period, and you're pretty much done. There are also 3 gear enhancement events as usual, and gear enhancement events, it really depends on your account level. It's closer to 10 million if you're on a low level account to complete one of these, and around 20 million if you're on a bit of a higher level account. So it really has an effect. Obviously, it also affects your ability to gain silver, because typically you go into a fusion with like 20 million silver maybe in the bank, and you will just earn the rest of the silver during the fusion event so that you can keep going. You don't have to have 60 million in the bank when the fusion begins. There are 2 classic arena tournaments. These are easy, so all you need to do is show up. You do need to log in a few times a day during these in order to complete them, but other than that, it's pretty easy. And finally, we have a Champion Chase tournament, this super long Champion Chase tournament from Friday, November 28th until Tuesday, December 2nd, and that's starting at Black Friday and ending either right before or right after a CVC starts. So there could be something you could do with that, but you probably want to take advantage of anything that's going on in Black Friday. There's probably going to be multiple X2 events. Typically, ancient shards are particularly effective in Champion Chase, and non-shard meals also work, so you can just save some champions and then you pull them, and then you will get points for those. But this time I expect there to be a whole bunch of X2 stuff going on, so this Champion Chase tournament should be a relatively easy one to complete. So that's the Kroz Wallbreaker Fusion. Gear Hunt overlap's not so great, so it's going to be a little bit energy intensive, but that Black Friday plus Champion Chase, that should be really good, so it could be a little bit less shard intensive as usual. And as a Fragment Fusion, there should also be the option to buy the final fragments if you're only missing some, so keep that in mind. And as for Kroz itself, Kroz is a bit of an unknown quantity. I have seen some footage from the test server. I don't have access to the test server myself, so it doesn't look too great, but then again, Ogryn tribes, they don't really have a lot of good DPS, and also I have not seen any footage of Kroz together with another bomber, because Kroz has a lot of really great bomb synergy abilities, so I think Kroz, like Kroz plus Nishak, for example, would be really interesting to see. I still think Kroz has potential, and I mean, I'm going for Kroz also just because Ogryn tribes. I have such a poor collection of Ogryn tribes characters. Fragment Fusion, typically the easiest fusion type to complete. So, I mean, that combination, the easiest fusion type, a character from a faction that's really hard to collect, so that will help me in Faction Wars, that will help me in Curse City. So that's why I'm going for Kroz, even though I don't expect Kroz to be truly an account-defining champion. So that's my take on the Kroz Wallbreaker Fusion, and I hope you will have a good time with this one. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.